Hello and welcome to this tutorial on the supply system in Hearts of Iron 3. Supply and fuel are resources that you can see in the info bar at the top. Both of these resources are consumed by your units, and while every unit needs supplies, only some of them, such as tanks and ships, require fuel. Supply is easily produced in large quantities by spending industrial capacity on it. Fuel, however, is only converted from raw oil, which makes it much harder to come by, and it's also very expensive to trade for. So you want to keep the amount of fuel consuming units in check so that you don't run out later on in the game. Alright, that's the very basics of supply, but there's a lot more to it. To get the big picture, let's switch to the supply map mode. There's quite a few things going on here, but I'll keep this short. Blue, green and brown are fine, while red is bad. Gray needs no supplies right now, while black can't receive supplies at all. As usual, to get the details, simply hover over the provinces to see what's going on there. So the thing that makes supply so troublesome is that the supplies that are used by your units are not simply taken directly from your stockpile like it works with other resources. Instead, supplies go from your stockpile onto the map, usually your capital, and then they are moved slowly on land routes to where they are needed. If the unit that you want to supply is overseas, then the nearest port on the destination landmass will receive the supplies, and they will move from there. To see where a particular province is supplied from, simply hover over it in the supply map mode. This will allow you to estimate the supply route. What all this means is that there is lag on supply, as a unit that requests supplies will have to wait for them to move at a rate of 1 province per day. While on the move, there are several things that have an impact on the supplies. First of all, the total amount of supplies that can be moved through a province in a day is limited by its infrastructure level. Provinces where infrastructure is too low to meet demand will be indicated on the supply map by red hatching. Furthermore, each province that the supply passes through on its way will cause it to lose a little bit. This is known as supply tax. What's often cause for confusion is the way supply works when you're in an allies or puppets territory. When that is the case, your ally will handle supplies, and you will automatically give them what your units need straight from your stockpile. All units try to keep 15 days worth of supplies on them, which allows them to function for a while even without receiving supplies. Any unit that runs out of supplies or fuel will become unable to move, fight at only 50% of its normal effectiveness, and it will also start to lose organization. It's something you want to avoid at all costs, as it's very easy to get your units surrounded and destroyed this way. To check the supply situation of a unit, select it and then check these bars on the left. These are things you should plan for whenever you're developing a strategy, and it's also important to consider the enemy infrastructure before launching an offensive. Some regions of the world, like China for example, have a very poor infrastructure and as such make it very hard to supply units there. When you attack such an area, you should take that into consideration and focus on smaller amounts of quality units that use few supplies, instead of trying to overrun the enemy with overwhelming numbers, as there is bound to be supply problems that way. That usually means utilizing specialized troops such as mountain infantry, as while they are expensive, they bring the most bang for your supply buck. Of course, then there's other areas such as Central Europe, where infrastructure is excellent and supply transportation becomes a non-issue, so you can bring your entire military might to bear. Just be mindful of where you're trying to go exactly, and plan accordingly so you don't end up with a supply bottleneck stopping your offensive in its tracks. Thankfully, there's a few things you can do to make it easier to supply your units. The most important ones are the theory technologies supply transportation and organization. These technologies will reduce your supply tax, so moving supplies is less wasteful, as well as increase the throughput so that you can move more supplies each day. There is also a minister trait and an industry law that increases supply throughput. When moving large amounts of units, try to spread them out a bit, as having 20 divisions in a single province is not only bad because of the stacking penalty, but it also makes it very hard to supply those units. The province you're in might not have enough infrastructure to receive as many supplies as you need there. Spreading out will also allow your supply routes to spread out and keep your units in supply more easily. While on the subject of moving units, be wary of strategic redeployment. While it can move your units very quickly, it also uses extra supplies, so use it only in safe areas with high infrastructure. Finally, while the supply system essentially runs automatically, you have two tools to intervene. Transport planes can drop supplies, which makes them great for saving units that are cut off from supply. Convoys are usually managed by the AI, but you can disable AI control of supply convoys in the production menu. This allows you to manually create supply routes between ports to get supplies where you need them, if the AI can't seem to handle it. That's a more advanced technique though that I wouldn't recommend for new players. Alright, this is pretty much it. Please note I didn't cover all the details of this very complex system in this video, and if you want to know more, I suggest you check out the Hearts of Iron 3 Wiki. The link will be in the video description. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.